Hello, and welcome to my guide to playing Colette. I'm making this video since I've been playing almost exclusively Colette for the last half a year or so. This means that I feel that I have a lot of knowledge about Colette that I'd like to share. In this guide, I'll be going over the basics of playing Colette and then move into advanced mechanics. I think that Colette is a pretty underrated character, as some people seem to think she's weak. I personally believe that she's actually one of the strongest characters in the game, so let's just get into it. In classic JRPG terms, I would consider Colette a red mage. She has a mixture of support and attack spells with some pretty good melee techs as well. In party gameplay, this means that she can function as a frontliner and a backliner pretty well. With the Life Thief and Spirit Thief EX skills, which restore HP and TP after a combo, she's also one of the most self-sufficient characters in the game. As a frontliner, she's one of the best characters at staggering bosses. Her multi-hit tech, Ray Satellite, can stagger pretty much any enemy in the game. Her triple Ray Satellite can do the same, and it's even more effective against enemies with big hitboxes since multiple chakrams will hit. Additionally, her Stardust Cross tech is also very effective against big enemies and is great at breaking guards. Since a lot of Colette's techs have range to them, she can combo enemies without getting in the way of another frontliner if she positions well. This means that she is very efficient at setting up other frontline characters for combos. As a backliner, she can deal tons of damage with her offensive angel spells, which include Grand Cross, Judgment, and Angel Feathers. Grand Cross in particular is amazing despite its long cast time, as this spell can stand up enemies and then knock them down again. With some coordination, this means that she can combo very well with characters like Lloyd, Zelos, and Kratos, who have techs that can knock down and stand up. In this sense, her Grand Cross spell can function as a combo support spell, as it can be used to extend combos. She also has access to Holy Song, a spell that buffs both attack and defense. It's pretty useful since it can also stack with other attack and defense buffs, making Colette and Rain a pretty good support duo. Now, let's talk about some basic combos. First, let me just say that her two neutral basic attacks are her best basic attacks. The other directional basic attacks have quite a bit of wind up to them, and don't lend themselves very well to comboing bosses. The two most reliable B&B combos that don't involve spell cancelling are probably Ray Thrust into Parabol into Whirlwind Rush, and Ray Satellite into Torrential Parabol. I heavily recommend using the latter combo against bosses with high stagger resist due to Ray Satellite being so effective at staggering bosses. These are all S-type techs, so I definitely recommend equipping S-type EX skills onto Colette if you're interested in playing her as a frontliner. Something that I should talk about before moving on to the advanced section of the guide is Colette's Backstep. Colette has a unique backstep compared to every other character in the game. Instead of jumping backwards a great distance, Colette simply slides backwards a bit. This means that Colette's backstep is less effective at dodging many attacks in the game. For example, she can't dodge spread with one backstep like every other character can. However, her backstep is not a strictly negative aspect of her character. Its short distance means that you can precisely dodge certain attacks without losing much ground. This is actually really important when you're doing certain bosses solo. Now, let's get into what makes Colette fun in the advanced section of this guide. First, let's talk about spell cancelling. Colette only has angel spells, which count as advanced spells for the sake of spell cancelling. This means that she can only cancel level 1 and 2 techs and her basic attacks. Most of the time, this is going to be Ray Satellite or Parabol. Spell cancelling opens up quite a few combo options and make Colette feel much smoother to play overall, as a lot of her attacks and techs tend to have lots of end lag. It's important to note that a spell-canceling Colette player doesn't pair well with casters, as she can't spell cancel while other allies are casting an advanced spell. If you're doing a solo, there's a potentially very important spell-canceling combo that exists. This combo is simply Parabol into spell cancel into Ray Satellite. The timing on this can be kinda tough to pull off under pressure, but when you master it, it's an incredibly useful tool. What this combo does is reset the combo meter while starting a new combo. when the combo meter gets too high on an enemy, the enemy will get knocked down to prevent you from doing an infinite combo. So instead of comboing an enemy till the enemy gets knocked down, this allows me to combo until they hit over limit, or death if they don't have over limit. Next, let's talk about Mystic Art canceling. This is something that I discovered during my solo Colette run that unlocks Colette's true potential. If you get Colette's Mystic Art, which will be written as 3 question marks on a shortcut through means of cheat engine or the tech underflow glitch, then you'll be able to spell cancel with Colette's Mystic Art. This is amazing because Colette is now capable of canceling level 3 tech since the Mystic Art doesn't count as a level 1, 2, or 3 spell. This opens up Colette's combo potential even more than normal spell canceling. If you combine this with spell cancel movement, Colette can do some pretty fun combos. You can even do something like spell canceling Torrential Parabol into Stardust Cross, as the Parabols make enough distance for Stardust Cross to land. Additionally, you can do the Parabol Ray Satellite loop I mentioned previously with Torrential Parabol now. I personally find this to be much easier to execute. I also want to dedicate a little bit of time to talking about Triple Ray Satellite. With Mystic Art canceling, this tech becomes ridiculously good against multiple enemies. By eliminating the end lag on this tech, you can essentially keep multiple enemies at bay, which makes this tech amazing both defensively and offensively. Furthermore, if you take Spirit Thief, you'll pretty much never run out of TP due to the amount of hits that Triple Ray Satellite deals. Now, let me explain some of Colette's defensive capabilities. First, I should mention that Sky Combo is a very good EX skill for creating more distance with jumps. One case where this is useful is for dodging attacks that reach very far behind an enemy after jumping over them, because those definitely exist in this game. I'm looking at you, Shadow Magnius. You can also spell cancel after your Sky Combo, or go straight into attack. Both eliminate landing lag. Another EX skill that is useful defensively is the compound EX skill Super Guard. This compound makes it so that you will take 0 damage during damage guard when you're low on HP. In normal gameplay, this really isn't that useful. For no damage solos, however, this is a very overpowered EX skill. With Mystic Art canceling, you can actually cancel your damage guard. When you do this, the effects of damage guard carry through your cast duration. This is a useful mechanic even without Super Guard due to damage guard's damage reduction, but with Super Guard, I can essentially be invincible until I start moving again. You can even fully cast your Mystic Art without fear of being cancelled by an enemy, which is obviously very strong. Now, there's one last thing to talk about before I wrap up this guide. The last thing I'll talk about in this guide is Pow Hammer, since it is quite literally Colette's strongest tech. After 200 uses, Pow Hammer can turn into Toss Hammer. The percentage chance of this happening is based off Colette's luck. Toss Hammer can poison enemies, which deals a certain percentage of an enemy's HP until they hit 1 HP. This is obviously game-breakingly overpowered. I personally never use poison because it's just not really that fun for me, but if you use it and have fun, then you do you, man. This comment may or may not be directed at Veghester. Well, that's basically it for my guide. Thank you so much for watching. If you want me to clarify anything or have any questions, feel free to leave a comment about it, and I will try my best to answer. I hope that you learned something from watching this, and that you have a nice day or night, depending on what time it is where you are.